from the budget process to off-budget implementation, especially of development projects. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, in the wisdom of the President and the resilience of our nation and the commitment and the patriotism of many members of Parliament, we established the National Infrastructure Fund. That fund, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the figures today of 840 billion that we are able now to dedicate to development expenditure, we would not have been able to do that without NIF. And I dare say, Honorable Speaker, in the next 2-3 years, we will see this figure of 840 billion surpass $1 trillion, $1.2 trillion to $1.5 trillion being dedicated to development expenditure from the budget, because we are now able to lift off a number of the projects that would have been implemented through the budget, off budget, through the National Infrastructure Fund and through private-public partnerships, Honorable Speaker. That is what we meant when we said that we will have innovative new ways of raising revenues, of ensuring that we are able to mobilize resources, to be able to roll out our development agenda without necessarily overburdening the people of Kenya, either through additional taxation, like we are not doing today, or either through excessive borrowing, like was done over the last decade. And unashamedly, Honorable Speaker, I have watched none other than the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, attempt to lecture the people of Kenya or the leaders of Kenya. And you know, I looked at Uhuru and I wondered, where was this man living before? Where were you, Uhuru Kenyatta, when Kenyans were buying a packet of Unga for 260 shillings? Where were you? Now that you have become oversensitive to the needs and the suffering of the Kenyan people, where were you when Kenyans were queuing to buy an available fuel at pump stations across the country? Where were you? You know, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say what Honorable Mariani is saying behind me. Because I respect all former presidents. But I have greater respect for former presidents who are patriotic, who love this country, who are not driven by hatred. You know, when Unga was selling at 260 shillings for a packet, Uhuru Kenyatta was the president. When we were subsidizing fuel, Honorable Speaker, using billions of shillings, borrowed money, because that is what we are paying for today. We borrowed money to subsidize fuel. We borrowed money to subsidize a packet of Unga that was not available, fuel that was not available. But a few people walked away very rich. One commercial bank in this country, Honorable Speaker, had the monopoly of foreign exchange. And those in the central bank know what was happening that time. That is how we depleted our foreign reserves to the lowest ever in the history of our country. The lowest ever. Even the colonial government had greater reserves than the Uhuru Kenyatta government. Today, we have tripled